Alright guys, welcome back to some more of the Great Ace Attorney 2. How's everyone doing? Hope you all doing alright out there in the world. And right now I'm doing decently and still enjoying this game. So we're going to continue on from where we last left off. And we're pretty much dealing with the ever so, in my opinion, popular Shamspere. So we're going to continue on and see what he does. And hopefully y'all continue to enjoy watching. So let's do this. Alright guys, and we are back. You will tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. One may smile, and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken. The truth of that wintry night of my discontent. Witness testimony. The wintry night of my discontent. I can't get over that. Okay. Let's do this. The snow lay about. My neighbor did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But merry, bitter was his drink. And when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, naught else. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. No one else visited his room but that short little round-backed Eastern fella. Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shamspere's room all night? That's right. Of course, the bloke's window is all but blocked up, isn't it? But there's a little gap in the bricks where you can see into the room. So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered in through that. The question is, sir, why? Well, now, that's because he's on my list. What a piece of work is a man! Wherefore wouldst thou not stare in wonderment? What are you talking about? This buzzing busybody hath not part in this play. I pray thee, pay him no heed. Make no more ado about his tedious words. What'd you say about me? Calm yourself. This court is concerned with what happened on the night in question. Nothing more. Indeed, that is so. And, as the testimony we have just heard clearly reveals, there was no one other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime. Uh-oh, they're talking. Well, I believe this may be the final testimony of the trial. Now, counsel, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Alright, it's my time to shine again. Snow lay about, my neighbor did cometh in the evening. Hold it! To be clear, by neighbor, you are referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume? Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance thou wouldst that I call him the man from upstairs? And at what time did the mustachioed Nipponese visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for an hour of 9, and lo, did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea? Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes? And we were broiled in such a literary debate as history hath not seen before. By which I presume he means their discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I, Shamspere, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbor played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as would our characters be, to bring weight upon our merry experiment. I dare not imagine the scene. Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the Eastern art of jiu-jitsu, but ne'er did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room? My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding. I can't get over this guy, man. But merry bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. Alright, well, we're gonna just have to question every other statement of his. Hold it! Let me stop you there. Mr. Natsume left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 the poison made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. What's this? If the defendant had really put the poison in your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain. Gladly. 'Tis an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea not while my guest didst tarry, but after he took a leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold, but at 1 hour post midnight, verily were my lips parched. Objection! That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amidst such argument, there'd be no time for fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again. And who was stronger? Mr. Shamspere, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words that attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. We all know what that means. Alright. Hold it! So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal, dinner, supper? Ha! Fie on luxury, fie on gluttony. To eat twice daily is but a waste of time. Sorry? I would that my belly were full, no more of aught than the sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. Night and day do I fill my hours with learnt study of the great bard and playwright. Hence is it that there doth not in my chamber be than the costumes of mine art. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. Now I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from the room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single player script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. You've eaten them? Every word be within... Wow. Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right, that wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the conclusion that the only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea. I was outside the bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on the room. Hold it! But the windows of that house have all been failed in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right there, all bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom corner that's been opened up. I was looking in through the gap. Yes, there was a few bricks loose, weren't there? And for some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up in the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But them's my orders, so that's what I'll keep doing, as long as there's breath in my body. What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Meterman, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in that room the whole time as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. And since we know the victim didn't leave his room, and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, it's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. Ah, yes. Lucidly explained, counsel. Thank you. It really was. You can't argue with that logic. No one else visited his room but that short little round-backed Eastern fella. Hold it! You say a short little round-backed Eastern fella, so you can't be sure it was the defendant then.
Objection!
How many other short little round-backed Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. But he showed up at around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shamspere drink tea together? Nah, sorry, I couldn't say. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? But what I did see was the silhouette of that little round back fella wearing a pretty dress. Then the pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it. I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway. Mr. Meat-a-Man, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question. Gasman's honor. Well, we have to believe him now. Oh. My lord! Goodness me. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I've kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me? Yes! Uh-oh. Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you've reached a unanimous decision? Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yes! Wait, no! The defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room. Yes, the 3 missing hours as you put it. But in the end, what difference do they make? None as far as I can see. And since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer. Like I was saying before, if I don't take 5 bob home with me tonight, the missus will blow her top. What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. Very well, let the court be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Why?
Guilty.
Too soon.
Guilty.
No!
Guilty!
Oh, come on!
Guilty!
Oh, you of all people. Oh boy. All of you! Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous. So, this time at least it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished. Get up, Mr. Naruhodo, please! The trial isn't over yet. What do you mean, Mr. Sato? What about the information I found in this encyclopedia of British law I have? That obscure right that belongs to the defense in these situations, remember? A summation examination? Yes, that's right. We don't have a jury in Japanese courts, of course. But here in a British court of law, if we can reverse the decisions of the majority of the jurors, we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. He doesn't have a ribbon there. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. Why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat? You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend instead of accepting the truth. Certainly no other defense counsel in recent times has exercised the right to a summation examination. Because they all know that once the jury's mind is set, it cannot be altered. Nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. The defense counsel's request is granted. This court will proceed with a summation examination as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we know all about this young lad's tenacity. And we're ready for it. Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. The jurors' contentions. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man. Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache. Very fishy. There's no evidence that just a gangling actor is a fraudsman, for now at least. Ugh, I really don't care. Like, I just need this shot to end quickly. 3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know? Nothing at all. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced. It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspere is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by his strange theatrical movements. And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsume has said appears to have registered at all. Well, here goes. Let's not forget. I pleaded with the jury on Sasaki-san's behalf before and it worked, so you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how a summation examination works, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh. Well, you're still very new to British law after all. That's true, I suppose, and Sasaki-san's fate is entirely in my hands now, too. There's always a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. Perhaps I should hear Sato-san out. I wonder, should I let her talk me through it again, or not bother? I'm pretty sure I still remember it. I mean, it's still fresh in my mind, so no need. Unless there's something new, but if there was, she would have informed me of it by now. Thank you for the kind offer, Mrs. Sato. But I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary. Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you like. I'll be here for you. Thank you, Sato. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement. Alright, if that's the case, let's do this. Finding two that are contradictory and pitting the corresponding jurors against each other. Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Jury examination time. The defense rebuttal. The victim may not well be off, but he's a noble man and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man. Hold it! Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars? I've no doubt about it. Like that shaky client of yours, for example. Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was that Japanese man's teeth. When you take the Gasman's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer. Well, that's alarmingly logical. But let me be frank here. I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is rotten liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen of the jury would do the same. Isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps, though I don't see it happening. Eh? What's that? Elderly gent on the end here? You know? You'll have to speak up. Look, I really don't care about all this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over. How many gentlemen did we actually have in the jury then? Alright, sir, I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said. Alright, if you can show me that the victim's a liar, I'll reconsider my position. Alright, you declared that there's no reason to lie. I think he's very splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's very Japanese, stoops all the while. Wasn't very fishy. There's no evidence to suggest that gangling actors are fraudsmen, for now at least. Hold it! A fraudsman? What do you mean by that, madam? It really is a most tiresome problem for the company. Most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence, we can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued. I'm sorry, you've lost me a little there. Who are you? I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company. Good gracious! Altamont Gas, you say? Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe, but proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office would be the first to agree. Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gotta be used properly. Altamont Gas is the best in the world, of course. Ah, I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, he bowed. He bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he? Ah, so, would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching what Mr. Shamspere was up to in his room? I'm afraid that there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies somebody as a possible fraudster. But to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night, we're very thorough in our investigations. So you mean Mr. Shamspere is... I wouldn't come out and say it in public, but you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas thief. You have noticed the public gallery in here, have you? The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words were I to let them penetrate the skin. But seraphs hear not insults, only choirs of angels in song. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around you until they find out. And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in an Altamont gas explosion. So Mr. Shamspere has been stealing gas. I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement? My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoyed? A little before that part about the object violence, if it's not too much trouble. Yes, of course. This could be it. This could shift the balance. The victim puts on a fine performance, but in reality, he's a common thief of my company's gas. Alright. Well... Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's cancel that. And... I want to pit her. A fine performance, by reality, common thief's gas. Alright, if you can show me the victim's a liar, I'll put her in position. Objection! Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 1? What are you yelling about, lad? I presume you heard juror number 4's statement, made by the wife of the owner of Altamont Gas. Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be noble, straight-up man, in fact turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much. It's true, we don't have evidence as such just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know. What? You heard me. Oh, messed up. Go to history. Hold on. Seeing as this operation has already been compromised, I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch employee over there. I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's honor. Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show that Mr. Shamspere was a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. And as a man of honor, I'll hold to it, as I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will. Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. So if this means you'll recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground. Oh no, I'm not having any part of this. I want this chart over and done with. In that case, I shall change my leaning. So, Mr. William Shamspere, if that is your real name, we of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are. Yes! Whew, okay. We're a little good. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory! Order! Order! Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense summation examination, the jury's leading has changed. Now, only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 says not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord, and order the trial to continue. Ah, he's gonna throw it, man. I'm waiting for it. He's gonna either... Oh, there it is! You have spoilt the bouquet, Mr. Shamspere. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. So God mend me. I do swear. This Gasman speaketh that which concerns him most, naught but gas, naught but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul. Oi! What did you say? Do I take it, Mr. Shamspere, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery? Most heartily, my lord. Hast thou forgot? I am a seraph, an angel. Noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart. Ah, you flowery-mouthed pompous beanpole, just cause I haven't got the evidence yet. Mr. Shamspere, if, in fact, you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom. It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case. Oh no. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the fidelity of this witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further.
Objection!
I assure you, my lord, that would be a waste of the court's time. The gas in this case are unrelated. Juror number 4. Yes? Didn't you say before that although you had no hard evidence to prove this man has been stealing gas, you have strong grounds for suspecting him? That's right, we do. Don't we, worker? Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gasman's honor. Very well then, we will hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspere, has been stealing gas. Alright guys, I'm going to have to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we come back, we're going to continue on with this hilarious and yet entertaining trial. Thank you all for watching.